Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us. We're really excited to be co-hosting a webinar with Supermetrics. We've been working with Supermetrics for about 5 years now, including helping with product development, and we're looking forward to showcasing how working together has added more value to the way we operate as an agency. My name is James, and I head up the partnerships and events at Katté Co, and I'm joined by Riku, a product marketing manager at Supermetrics, and Jack, head of biddable at Katté Co. Today, we're going to look at how to scale your e-commerce business with a data warehouse, covering a variety of topics from the basics of data warehousing all the way through to some live demos and examples. There will be some time for Q&A at the end of the session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to message them in. And if we can't get round to answering those today, we will come back to you after the session. Right, let's get going with a very brief intro into Katté and Supermetrics. At Katté, we specialize in paid search and paid social. We have 4 main pillars to our success. To pick out a couple, we have no account managers, so all our clients work and speak directly with a dedicated biddable team. Therefore, both parties can build great relationships and understanding directly. And then another pillar would be we're very data-driven with our PPC, and we'll cover aspects of that today. We work with lots of different e-commerce brands, a few of which are listed here, including the likes of Simba, Spoke, and The Economist. And we're also trusted partners to Facebook and Google, recently becoming one of just 20 UK agencies to become a Google International Growth Partner, allowing us to take our clients into new markets across the world, both quickly and efficiently. I'll now hand you over to Riku to introduce Supermetrics and data warehousing.
Thank you, James. So I'm Riku from Supermetrics. Very nice to have you all here today. And today we'll be talking about data warehousing, as James mentioned. And let's briefly talk about what is Supermetrics. So Supermetrics, it's all started with a Google T-shirt contest. Way back in 2010, Mikael, our CEO, participated in this Google Sheets challenge, where basically someone who could connect some CSV files and so on into Google Sheets won a Google T-shirt, and Mikael was the one who won that, and that spun into a company. So basically, today Supermetrics is employing over 140 people, out of which 45 are developers from 26 different nationalities, and we all work in English, and we're all based in Helsinki, Finland, or Vilnius or Atlanta, and with separate offices in Denmark and Canada. But we work fully remotely, regardless of the location. So what we do is basically that we get data from one location to the other, and don't just hear our word for it. Basically, you're in good company. We have 500,000 users across 16,000 customer companies, including HubSpot, OneMove, Nestle, L'Oreal, and Dyson. And because we move marketing data, we have measured that 10% of global online ad spend are reported through Supermetrics. So let's go forward and start talking about what is data warehousing. So a data warehouse is basically, in these days, is a cloud-based product. So basically, when we talk about data warehouses, we are talking about products like Google BigQuery or Amazon Redshift and so on. So they are natively running data-based apps in the cloud that use the capacity and scale available provided by cloud providers. So what they do is that they offer pre-built, pre-composed, prepared data for consumption so that all the data is transformed readily in use for analytics or BI systems, for example. A key component of data warehousing is that they provide access to almost anyone in the business. So they lower the bar for business users to access the data easily. And because it's based in the cloud, a data warehouse provides the storage and compute resources needed. And they are also scalable. So if you put more data than you would imagine, you're not limited by the hardware requirements. You can easily get more storage space within seconds. Some platforms even offering it for you automatically. And then when you are doing more complex analysis, data warehouses are able to take a lot more capacity to crunch that data. And then when it's done, lower your data capacity needs regardless of time and space, because it scales up and down automatically. So that's what a data warehouse is. So for a marketer, a data warehouse is really important because basically it allows you to take full ownership of your marketing data. So what this means is that like there's a lot of different retention policies for like Facebook, Twitter ads, Shopify. They all vary differently, and usually if you don't take care of that, you can basically lose your data. So with a marketing data warehouse and connectors like Supermetrics, you can basically take all those data that's stored and put it into your own storage with your own data retention policies. So you now own all the marketing data that you have gathered and are not relying on any other data retention policies that might be set by someone else. And that data is then able to be used for more complex analysis. And that complex analysis could be so that you aggregate data from multiple different sources, like I mentioned, and basically create an end-to-end report, for example, where you're using different touch points from different sources to create a report that covers a wider base. And because it is in the cloud, you can use the power of the cloud that I mentioned and the storage space. And because all these capacity and scale demands are more or less kept up to date with automated transfers, you can keep your reports up to date with the latest data. So having a data warehouse basically makes sure that you always have the latest data available in your reports, because they're all crunched and transformed and stored in the data warehouse every time you access your reports. And where does Supermetrics come into here? Well, like I mentioned, we transfer data. So we cover a lot of different data sources, and our data pipelines are then able to move data into different destinations. And for example, like I mentioned earlier, we started with a Google Sheets product, but we also offer a Microsoft Excel product. But we also move into these data warehouses. So for like Google BigQuery, Snowflake, Azure Synapse Analytics, we move all of them natively. So as said, we can also put it into different visualizations and BI tools, but the focus today is on data warehousing. So let's talk a bit about our data warehousing products. So basically, right now we offer for the big three data warehousing products. We offer for Snowflake, we offer for Azure, we offer for BigQuery. And what we enable is that you can automate your cross-channel marketing data transfers, so like Facebook, Twitter, Shopify, and so on, into your data warehouse with just a few clicks. So you don't have to write scripts, you just connect your sources to your destination using our products, and then data is transferred automatically. You can take control of all the historical data, like I mentioned, basically just backfilling your whole data warehouse instance with all the data from the past that is stored in your source system. So you can basically start doing benchmarking and analysis year by year just by taking control of the historical data. We offer a lot of normalized schemas. So basically we built these like data table setups that basically pull all the data that is relevant to marketers. But if you feel like that you have something specific that you need from your data sources, then we offer a schema builder. So you can basically easily build your own schemas, you can manage them, and you can add them to your transfers so your data is pulled in the form that you would like it to be. And of course, as in the previous slide we showed, with the BI tools, we also offer connections to major BI tools such as Google Data Studio. So you can basically even pull the data from your Snowflake or BigQuery instance into Google Data Studio and have all those tables and views updated automatically using the data stored in your data warehouse. Let's give it over to Jack to talk about the benefits of having a data warehouse. Jack, go ahead.
Cool, cheers, Ricky. Yeah, so to start off with, let's look at the reasons why we're using the data warehouse for our clients. Firstly, The speed at which we can access data for our clients is paramount to their success. So being able to quickly and accurately view that data lets us make the right decisions at the right times. The accuracy of the data is provided through the use of a data pipeline or ETL, such as Supermetrics, which basically in the early hours of every morning, this does all the heavy lifting for us, pushes the latest data from the APIs into the warehouse, ensuring we're looking at the latest information each day. And then by automating the data coming out of the platforms and into our reports, we're able to save time, which allows our analysts to focus on improving performance for our clients. And then on top of this, automating as much of any process as possible just ensures that mistakes are avoided. Any manual processes that you're doing over and over again will tend to see mistakes sort of creeping in. And finally, a big thing for us was the customization element. So all of our clients are different and they have their own different needs. So being able to fully customize our reporting and the use of that data was a really, really big thing for us. So why did we choose Supermetrics? Well, we tested a few different solutions. However, Supermetrics really felt like it had been designed with the user in mind. So the UI is really easy to use. It syncs effortlessly with the full Google Suite, which is really important for us as we do a lot of our work in the Google Suite, which I'm sure a lot of other marketers do as well. It's incredibly simple to set up transfers and start pushing data into your warehouse. And we'll have a quick demo later on, and you can literally see how you can start that off in a matter of minutes. And then another really key point in working with data is the accuracy. So ensuring what we're looking at is in sync with the platforms is really the #1 priority. And with Supermetrics, we're really confident that our data is in sync with the platforms and accurate. And lastly, the cost of the product is very reasonable and is actually really good value for money. So with Supermetrics, it's pretty much like having a team of in-house developers working solely on our data lake. They're up to date with all the latest API changes and ensure that our data flows as needed, so we're able to serve our clients as best as possible. So looking a bit more at the data flow and how that actually works. So if we start by going back a few years to how we used to create reports, here we would need to pull data from each different data source into a separate Google Sheet. We'd then have to stitch all of this together through numerous formulas in order to get working front-end reports. But there were problems with this. So the amount of data meant reports were very slow and very buggy. There were quite a few manual elements to this process, which could obviously lead to mistakes as well. And it was all very time consuming. And that's where BigQuery came into play. So we decided that if we could push all our data into one centralized place, we could then output a more streamlined data set to power all of our reporting. So we chose Google's BigQuery for a few reasons. #1, speed and ease at which you can set up a data warehouse with BigQuery and start importing data was a key part of this. So they're native connectors to Google products like Google Ads and GA, but it all integrates with numerous different ETLs as well. Supermetrics, for example, was designed to work with BigQuery when they started building that product. And if you use Google Sheets or Data Studio as your kind of front-end reports or BI tools, then it's a very simple process to extract that data as well. It's extremely cost-effective. So you only pay for what you use in BigQuery, and this is split into 2 sections, so storage and streaming costs. And streaming, which is essentially how much data you query on a day-to-day basis. So storage costs are 2 cents per gigabyte per month, or 1 cent per gigabyte per month for long-term storage, and the streaming costs are 1 cent per 200 megabytes. So to put that into perspective a little bit, our total BigQuery costs are under £100 a month, and we're an agency running multiple clients through it. But most importantly, the data needs to be secure and protected. And within BigQuery, there are permissions for pretty much everything you can think of. So you're in total control over who can access your data, who can view your data. And then as with all Google products, there's a lot of security built into what they do as well. So finally, we just had to solve the problem of getting all of our data into BigQuery. So it's no good having half your data going into a centralized place, because you still have the same issues. You still have to pull data from multiple different places. And that's where Supermetrics were able to help. So they've got connectors to over 40 different APIs, and we're able to access everything we need to support our clients and support them in their marketing. So to try and show you some tangible results of the back of this change, we looked at the number of data rows in our reports before and after with those two processes. So we were able to reduce the data load on our reports by 60%, which led to increased reporting speeds and functionality, as we can now do more without running into the kind of slow, buggy issues that we were seeing from having too much data. And we were also able to increase the accuracy of reports just by automating that entire process. So there were less steps for errors to creep in. So to sum up some of the benefits of using a data warehouse, we've got time saving, improved data integrity, increased reporting functionality. The team internally has been upskilled and learned how to use SQL to analyze and extract data, which is a really good skill to have and help people as they in their future careers. And we've been able to do much more cool, useful stuff with the data available, such as alert systems and automated account health checks, which we've got a few examples of later on as well. All right, so now let's look at a specific example for e-commerce. So if we take this example where we have £300 for the selling price of a product, there's no shipping fee, it's free over £100 in this example. That gives us a total revenue of £300, but there's a cost of the goods that we sold, cost us £230, and there is actually a shipping cost of £10. So our gross profit so far, £60, but it cost us £60 to acquire that customer through Google Ads. So our actual profit is 0. So on a ROAS basis, that gives us a ROAS of 5, which out of context, that could look pretty good. And we could be optimizing to a ROAS of 4 or a 5, thinking that's great. But actually, when we dig under the bonnet a bit, we see that we're only just breaking even, and we've got a profit of 0. So that's all well and good on a single SKU or a single sale. But how do we scale that up so we can report across tens of thousands of products and thousands of keywords? So we take a GA product performance report, which includes SKU level data. We take our cost data from Google Ads or any other platforms we may be using. We take a SKU level margin report, which gives us the cost of goods. And then we can factor in any shipping and other costs that we need to factor into the equation. We push all of that into BigQuery using Supermetrics. We can then write some SQL code over the top of this to stitch this all together and essentially do that computation that we just went through, but to do it at scale. And then we can output that data set, giving us profit by keyword. So we can see profit by keyword, by campaign, by different keyword types, and start to build our reports off the back of that. So looking at a couple more reporting examples of how we use this data and what that actually means for our clients. So this is one of our monthly reports. So all the cells at the top are interactive drop-down menus. We're able to split the data however we need. And as you change these drop-down menus, all of the data below will update to reflect what you want to look at. This is one of our social dashboards, allowing us a really nice visual way to see performance by demographics, by placements, by platforms, among other areas. And to do this in the platform itself, you probably need to run 3 or 4 different reports on a daily basis to get these views. But through that data lake and through that process that we have running in the background, that's all automated, and we get the final output every morning. And here we have one of our account health checks. And this is where we can look at spend by keyword, quality scores, by bid strategies, or match types, for example. And we're also pulling out the top converting search term data, which we can now easily add into the accounts. And again, these are fully customizable, so we can build in anything else that we need on a case-by-case scenario. And then we have our best practice alerts. So these allow us to constantly check our clients' accounts and keep to our standards, flag any issues on a daily basis. Again, if we need to adapt these for certain client needs, we're able to do that because we have that whole process in place. And finally, we have a data studio example from Supermetrics. This is where you can essentially effortlessly, sync your BigQuery data with Data Studio using the Supermetrics connector, and then start to build out interactive reports. And they've got numerous templates on their website as well that can be used as a starting point. Cool, so now we're going to look at a quick demo of how easy it is to set up your transfers in BigQuery. So here we are in BigQuery. All we do is go to our data transfers, and then we're going to create a new transfer. So create transfer. We choose our connector, so Google Ads by Supermetrics. We give it a name, demo Supermetrics. You can choose how often you want your transfers to run, when you want them to start. You can do it daily, weekly, monthly, or on demand. So if we just do start now, for example, we then choose the data set that that's going to go into. So we put it into demo, and then you can choose your refresh window. So how many days of data do you want to pull every day? So we're going to say 7. We then look to connect the source. We then log in through Supermetrics. And once we're in here, we can see the schemas that we can pull. So these are the schemas that Supermetrics manage. So standard, enhanced, cool, down to structure. And then these are some of the custom schemas that we've set up for ourselves to pull slightly different data sets. So if let's pull the enhanced schema, we need to choose an account. Katté Co. And then we just submit that. And save. And that will now run our transfers, as you can see here, for the last 7 days. If you need to backfill that, you can just schedule your backfill and run the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months of data and more. And then what does that data look like actually in BigQuery? So if we go back to the workplace, we can see our dataset demo. And here we have a few of the tables that I actually pulled before this, just so we can have them ready. But you can see our Google Ads data come in here. You can see what's in the table, you can preview the tables, and then you can start to work with that data and put it out using some simple SQL. Cool, so that's the demo. I think we've got time for a few questions.
Yeah, thanks guys. Really enjoyed that. Great insights. We've had lots of questions come in, which is really positive to see. We'll try and go through 3 or 4 live now, and then as I say, we'll come back to the others at a later date. So first one in, we have, what if we use Azure storage as the staging ground instead of loading data directly into Synapse? Do you want to take that one, Riku?
Yeah, sure, I can take that. So basically what I understand from this question is that you are loading data into Azure Cloud Storage and then transferring it there and loading it into Azure Synapse. So we actually have a Azure Cloud Storage product. So it basically does the same things that our Azure Synapse product does, but it only loads it into the Azure Cloud Storage. So basically, what I would say is that you could take the Supermetrics for Azure Cloud Storage, load the data using that, and then doing your transforming and moving then that data into a Synapse session. So I think that would be one option for you.
Great, thanks Riku. Next we have, are you able to use profit data to inform bidding? Do you want to go for that one, Jack?
Yeah, sure. In short, yes, we definitely can. Because we can view that information at a keyword level, and then obviously we can build up to ad group or campaign level, we can use that to inform our bidding strategies in the platform. And with the process being as completely automated as it is, we can view this data daily and obviously keep an eye on any changing trends that are coming in, and then feed that back into bidding as well. So yeah, we definitely can use that profit data in our bidding strategies, and we have done with numerous clients.
Nice, thanks, Jack. Right, Riku, I will fire this one your way. How does a data lake differ from a data warehouse?
Yeah, that's a good question. So as I mentioned previously, a data warehouse stores readily transformed data. So everything's processed, everything's like made ready. So they're like in a flat form and like so ready to be used for analysis. A data lake is more for storing files in their raw format, like in different flat files and so on. So basically data lake is where you would load the data in an untransformed form and then start processing and refining that data for use in different data applications. Whereas in a data warehouse, when you've loaded the data into the data warehouse, you've already done all that work and it's already ready to be transformed. So there's a slight difference there.
Awesome, thanks, Riku. Let's have a look. Okay, let's take one more question. Let's go with, how do you go about training your team to use SQL? Do you want to take that one, Jack?
Yeah, really this was twofold. So we ran a lot of training sessions early on, basically to get the basics, and also had everyone take the Code Academy course online, which is a really good source of training material. But I've always personally believed that you learn by doing. So it was very much a case of getting stuck in and writing queries. And it's a very simple coding language. So once you get the basics, you're pretty much good to go. And after a couple of months, most people in the agency were pretty confident with it and able to write queries and do the reporting and alert systems that we've looked at.
Cool, good stuff. Thanks, guys. I think that's all for questions. We've just got a couple of more follow-up slides, and then we'll leave you to crack on with your day. So yeah, just before we go, wanted to offer everyone attending or watching the recording the opportunity to get in touch for an audit or a conversation around your digital marketing. You can do this via our website, and our team of biddable analysts will then take an in-depth look at your accounts in order to check best practices are in place, help identify any areas for opportunity, as well as look into any specific challenges you may have.
And before you go, when you leave this webinar session, there should be a feedback form. So please do give us feedback. We want to hear from you what you think about this webinar, all the topics covered, what we discussed, and so on. And still, if you still have any questions, please do leave those questions. They are stored, and we will then reach out to you via email or some other form of communication. And then, of course, if you go to supermetrics.com, you can always sign up for a free trial of any of our data warehousing products or any other product. It's a free trial for 14 days, so be sure to check that out too. So I think that's thanks from me, thanks to James, thanks to Jack. Do you guys want to say something?
Yeah, just thank you very much for joining us. I hope you found that useful. Yeah, and we look forward to being in touch with a few of you if you've got any further questions or would like to go for that audit.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody.